right, welcome to Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with the Primus of the pod, Keith. What's up, Goodman?
How we doing?
Oh, I fucking love this book. We're breaking down some bestsellers, and this week we'll be discussing Pierce Brown's 2014 dystopian science fiction novel. The book is Red Rising. If you'd like to recommend a book for us to read or to reach out to us about this episode or any past episodes, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify, so please download and subscribe. Let's get into Red Rising. Keith, Red Rising is... Well, let's just start off with it as a great opening line. All men are not created equal. Just peeled right off, what is it, the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
As an American, I should probably know that. But except instead of all men are created equal, woo, flip the script into a reverse card, all men are not created equal. Red Rising, which is set on Mars, follows 16-year-old Darrow, son of Dale. I like a good son of. It reminds me of Lord of the Rings. Darrow, son of Dale, the helldiver of Lycos, who, after the death of his wife, goes on a quest to infiltrate the ruling class and bring the entire society down from within.
I can give you my brief overview as well, by the way. I wrote one down because I liked yours, but I wanted to add my 2 cents.
Oh, please, add 3.
It's a young adult book that delves into lighthearted topics of slavery, horrific violence, the depravity of war, and the importance of using upper-class slang words.
Oh.
It's Braveheart plus 2,000 years plus Hunger Games. That's how I would describe it.
That's hilarious to that because I have written down Hunger Games plus Braveheart. Freedom!
Oh, wow, we're back!
Okay, I appreciate you doing that, a little lighthearted one, because I didn't have a lighthearted summary. I just went right for the meat. We've got a lot of categories to get through. We got some stock up, stock down, which we'll have a guest on for. Our buddy Mikko. It's going to be great. We got some love, hate, cast the movie, favorite character, all that good stuff. But before we get into that, we like to do a libation, which we like to enjoy during the podcast, and you guys should hopefully enjoy one as well. We could drink wine, but that's for the Bloody Damn Golds. I'm thinking something more along the lines of swill, which is the drink of the Reds, specifically the Lambda clan. They say it's fermented from a bacteria, so I imagine this is like moonshine or whatever they drink in the Matrix. But since I don't want to go blind, I'm going to spin it back to the summer and have a White Claw tea. So you, I think, have like 12 different drinks, including water, coffee, and a Busch Light. So congratulations.
Busch Light, raspberry tea, coffee, and water. There we go.
Favorite scene. I mean, we've been through a lot of books that lately, I feel like, that don't have specific scenes that are enjoyable or the favorite. You know, they all kind of like meld together. This is a cinematic book. It's almost written like it's ready to get, put in the can. So I assume we're going to have some good favorite scenes here. What did you have?
Yeah, I had a lot. From the riddle at the beginning, I love riddles. Just love like riddles to get into any clan or
What was
group.
the riddle?
It was the 2 pieces of things on the 2 pieces of paper and said, if you select the right one, you'll get in. If you don't, and then he like, eats the piece of paper. You know what I'm talking about?
Fork in the road. Pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. I love any riddle that's like, you can't get in here unless you solve this puzzle or riddle, to the reveal, the actual world, to the 1v1 death match, to storming Olympus. I think the book just took you on tons of roller coasters. There's a lot of good scenes, but my favorite was the handling of the whipping and how he basically got whipped himself. And he was like, I am the army, so therefore anyone does anything bad, basically, I did something bad. I fucking love that. He basically just put in the prisoner's dilemma and somehow solved it. Like, just was like, yeah, this is the answer to that equation. I remember reading that the first time being like, what would I do as a leader? I had no idea. Even the second time reading it, I was like, oh, shit, that's still...
Yeah, well, to be clear, because you said reading it again, this is the second time we've both read this book. I read it, I think, last year. It was one of the best books I read. I've been waiting to do this on the pod, and it had reached that perfect pinnacle for a second read where I kind of knew the beats, but forgot all of the detail within that, because just like any book I read, I immediately forget it.
Right, of course, yeah.
So I'm glad we hit it now because, I really enjoyed it the second time around. My favorite scene, though, I had a few as well. The initial assault on Minerva, that was great because I feel like up until that point, we didn't get a lot of action. It was more like world building and setting the stage and then like moving the pieces on the board. It was almost like in StarCraft, once you build up your forces and get to finally execute the plan you've been working for. Did you ever play like StarCraft or...
Oh, yeah. Red Alert?
Red Alert. That's the other one I was thinking of. Command and Conquer.
Of course.
Yeah, those are freaking great. You just get all the dogs in your dog kennel and you just unleash them on the Ruskies. It's great. So I liked that one. I also liked... This was pretty short, but the like Severo-Darrow reunion. Severo has one eye now, and Darrow hasn't seen him in so long. He gives Darrow back his sling blade, which is... It's like Elrond giving Aragorn Anduril in Lord of the Rings. It was just like, that's the part of... It's like almost part of him, that sling blade. So when he kind of unfurls it and gives it back to him, it was like, oh, yeah, let's go. Let's go. And the whole Jackal chapter, we spend most of the book just like hearing whispers of the Jackal. Mm-hmm. And then finally the Jackal's revealed, but it's in a really interesting way where he was in disguise. It was all a ruse, like the whole drinking of the wine stuff. Darrow's whole house or his whole army just like gets up off the floor, which I don't think a bunch of 17-year-old kids are going to be able to fake drunk, but I'm allowing myself to suspend disbelief because maybe the other kids...
Wait, 1 second. The last pod, or maybe 2 pods ago, you had said they used to drink 1 or 2 beers and then pretend you were hammered. So what are you talking about?
I did?
Come on, Cal. I had to call you out here. Yeah, remember you said you used to split a 30 between 8 guys or 10 guys and then go meet up with girls and you were like, oh, I'm hammered.
Yeah, I mean, that we're talking like high school. But yeah I guess that's so maybe that's true. Yeah.
That's the auditor comes out here, kid. Come on.
Same vibe. But in that chapter, we also get some like 127 hours action with the arm sawing off, and then culminates with Pax dying. Like, what the fuck? That hurt. That hurt.
Yeah, that one did hurt. I forgot he died. I was like, oh, and then Pax, like, and then the sequels, I remember him being great. And then I was like, wait a second, what? He dies?
Yeah, so we didn't mention that this is part of a 3-book series, but I also forgot that Pax died and... was like, wait, isn't Pax the front of his force in the second book? But I obviously...
It'd be like the crazy Irishman dying in Braveheart.
It's my island.
Yeah.
Ireland, it's mine. Well, all right, bro, you fucking crazy. Also, when he throws that sword, oh, that's such a great scene in Braveheart. Fuck, I gotta rewatch that movie. All right, I think that pretty much covers it. I mean, there's so many good scenes you could pick out of, but...
How is this not a movie? That's really what it comes down. It's like written like a movie. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, more importantly, why isn't it a series? If it was a movie, I feel like you wouldn't be able to cover it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It should be a Game of Thrones series.
We're going to jump into some stock up, stock down, but for this section, we have a special guest, our buddy Mikko, who I think... is on, and I also think this was the first book he ever read. So before we get into stock up, stock down, I would really like to ask him about that.
Thanks, yes. Thanks for having me. I love all things BBC.
Yeah, welcome to the Buddy Book Club. Another buddy. Love to have you. So let's clear it up. Is this the first book you ever read? I was confused.
I would like to declare exclusively here for the first time that up until this book, I have never read a book cover to cover.
How did you get through high school?
Listen, I'd like to give a shout out to my mother if she's listening. I'm really sorry for all the times I lied to you about those book reports, the summer reading assignments. I never did them. You guys reviewed Hatchet. I remember the cover of that book, and I remember never finishing it. So, sorry, Mom.
Wow.
I let you down.
But then you read this book in like 3 days. How do you possibly do that?
It was I know how to read, if that's what you're asking. Thanks, Keith.
Well, first off, speaking for one of us here, I don't. So let's not start pointing fingers here.
I see how you subtly worked that question in without actually asking it. But no, yeah. It was a page turner. For the first time in my life, I was actively sitting there with my wife while she watched TV, and I was reading a book. It was mind-blowing.
Wow.
You love to see that.
Yeah, really. I'm glad we're influencing people somehow. Even one. It starts with
It's
one.
crazy. I now understand how high and mighty those people feel when they say, I don't even own a TV. You know those people? I felt like that.
And learn this line also. The book was better.
Oh,
than the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, that's
Just
important.
every time, no matter what it is, you say that.
And you might have the opportunity with this book. So I'm excited for when this eventually comes out in some sort of media format, and you can just say like, nah, it was good, but the book was better. So your bookcase at home now has like one book in it.
Yeah, it's the world's saddest bookcase, but yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, thanks for joining us, and specifically for Stock Up, Stock Down. I have no idea where you're going to go with this, and that's kind of the point of Stock Up, Stock Down. We're buying and selling stocks that may or may not have anything to do with the book, and it can really mean anything at all. So I guess, Keith, you kick it off to give a vibe, and then Mikko, you can go from there.
For me, Pierce Brown, the author, Stock Up. Here at the Buddy Book Club, we don't believe in objectifying women. So, Mikko, I know you're on here to do that, and I just want to state up front, we're not about that here. So just leave that at the door. However,
I'll just head out
we
now.
are about objectifying men. And let me tell you about Pierce Brown. I looked him up on Instagram just to, I was going to see if maybe he'd come on. This dude's a dreamboat, an absolute stud. So take your time right now, look him up. This dude's like gorgeous, but not objectifying him, but objectifying. But I just wanted to say that, stock up to him. And it's also bullshit that if you're a good writer, you can actually be attractive. That's bullshit. You should look kind of like George R. R. Martin. No offense there, but or like a nerd, right?
Yo, Pierce Brown looks like Dennis from Always Sunny.
But he has pictures on IG of like him like in model poses. I was like, oh, it must be the wrong guy. So I like kept on looking. I'm like, wait a second, this is actually him? Like, what's going on? He reminds me of Sam Hunt. The country artist. He's got a great voice, catchy singer voice, but he's also like attractive, tall, and was a D1 quarterback. Like, you can't have all those things. It's bullshit. So stock up Pierce Brown, but I'm also pissed. So that's how I'm going to start it.
He's pretty dreamy. I'm not going to lie. Mikko, what'd you have for stock up?
I wanted to start off with stock up. I think I only have one stock down. So most of my stock ups, I was in a positive mindset when I read this book, when I wrote down my stocks. Stock up number 1, gravity.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I grew up on Earth. And here on Earth, gravity is literally holding you down, right? You could fall, you get hurt, fall out of a tree, climbing as a kid, whatever. But turns out, thanks to gravity, I would be jacked on other planets.
And weren't they operating at like 0.3 gravity or something like that?
Exactly. So they're like jumping, throwing boulders around and doing all this shit. And if we stepped onto Mars, we would have fucking crushed it in that institute. I mean, I just stock up on gravity. It's underrated.
I think I'd be a pink.
You know what? Fair point. Touche. You'd be a pink. And quick shout out to Sir Isaac Newton, who discovered gravity, even though he died a virgin.
Is that right?
Tough, yeah.
Really, an F-U to Isaac, because the gravity he found just doesn't matter because we're on Mars now, and also virginity. Not a good look.
Just ricochet shots left and right at Isaac. Jeez.
My first stock up is going to be dancing. It used to be people would know dances like the Charleston, and people would be like, "Oh, of course everyone waltzes. Like everyone knows how to waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, everyone knows that." But nowadays, dancing is like for TikTok videos. It's a flash in the pan kind of thing. But who would have thunk that dancing actually prepares you for war? Similar to Stanley Ipkiss when he puts on the mask and is able to dodge bullets and shake the maracas. I mean, it's a stock that's trading high on the Brazilian stock market since they invented capoeira. But outside of that, we have no dance fighting. And it turns out that Darrow, he knows this ancient dance from his uncle, and because of that is a superior fighter than everyone else. Doesn't matter about all the body modifications. He's like, no, I learned this cool dance, so now I can fight. So dancing, stock up?
I had the exact same thing. I had dancing and singing, stock up. But I also gave a caveat there that the prerequisite for those to be stock up is 6 to 10 beers deep, but that's just me. But I like that one. I liked it a lot.
You cut rugs at weddings, Keith?
I have 2 dances. The chop it up, which is just me not moving anything other than my hands and chopping up and down. That's the chop it up. Or the basketball, that's like if you're in a dance circle and you're like supposed to do everyone's doing their own dance or
the
whatever.
spin the bottle thing?
Yeah, if you go that, I go in there and I pretend I'm bouncing a basketball, then I start spinning it and then like hand it off to someone.
That's super cringy.
What about you guys? Wait, what? You've seen it?
Super cringy.
That's not
No,
cringy. That's great.
I'm actually getting blowbacks or like minds back to like the first bar mitzvah I went to where Scott Yarmosky, shout out to Scott, did the invisible ball blowing up and passing around thing. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but
I am not.
it was quite basically like the invisible basketball, but then when you pick it up, you like fake blow it up. It's like half mime, half dancing. It was extremely uncomfortable.
I mean, we're doing bar mitzvah shout-outs. Shout out to Jonathan Rosenberg, first bar mitzvah I went to. I don't remember them doing that, even though they had great DJs. My dance move it's a lot on the shoulders, and it's just jumping, a lot of jumping, shoulders and jumping. I feel
jumping.
like are my two.
Especially as a large man, like, and by large I mean tall, not rotund.
Yeah, it's fine. It goes both directions.
But jumping is, you could scare some people off the dance floor.
Yeah, it separates the boys from the men on the dance floor for sure, and that's what I'm looking to do when I go to weddings.
You wake up the next day and like have a calf workout. Your like calves are burning because that's how you know you hit the dance floor hard.
My feet are torched, and especially in those brown leather shoes. Oh, the blisties, totally worth it though.
I will say the women have really figured that out when it comes to dancing, how they'll bring like flats as well as their heels for the dance floor. It's really genius, and I started just bringing tennis shoes to weddings and wearing tennis shoes after like, the dinner's over. No one noticed. Everyone's beers deep. No one notices. No one cares. And you're just way more comfortable. Yeah.
Where do you bring them?
Or leave it.
Like, how do you store them?
Oh, I just tie them to my belt, and then I walk around like that, like a satchel, like a little satchel I have of tennis shoes.
Little fur pelts? Yeah.
No, I mean, it depends what kind of wedding situation you're at, but if you can get into the reception early, you just throw them under the table, or just put them somewhere. Like, no one's looking at some shoes that are in a corner, just put them somewhere. And if someone asks you, like, why are you carrying shoes around? It's like, oh, I'm about to tear it up on the dance floor. They're like, nice.
D-Man's at a 5-star hotel and restaurant and carrying around his sweaty gym shoes. He's like, oh, where can I put these guys? I'll just throw them on the table. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I bring gym shorts, too, and a cut-off tank top. No big deal. Yeah. Keith, what else do you have for stock up?
I already alluded to this, but stock up young adult books. So I think in general, and I'm in a Reddit young adult group.
Careful with that group.
Book group.
Oh, okay.
I think it gets a bad rap. It's basically about angsty teenagers complaining and like basically love triangles and romance novels. That's basically what people think of YA. But this book is considered YA, and we get brutal hand-to-hand combat and murders. We get rape, torture, gory, stabbing eyes out to kill someone, sawing off limbs. I mean, if this is YA, I'm in YA all day. I don't really get how this gets defined as that, but this is definitely a huge stock up and win for the YA section.
Yeah, this is almost like Y-ish A. If someone had got this in middle school or something, I feel like a teacher would find it and read it and be like, no, this should go in the forbidden book section or something like that. Shout out Harry Potter. But this is a little too much for YA, but I agree. If, this is almost a spy in the YA section, and if I happen to find this, I'd be like, oh my God, yes, finally. Something that is more interesting than, oh, Katniss, oh, PETA, I love you.
Yeah, isn't there like always protests like every year somewhere in like the Bible Belt of Catcher in the Rye or like some book like that? I feel like this is way worse.
Yeah, we do those on the weekends. Have you not been coming to those?
Yeah, we're like Westboro Baptist Church people. You didn't know that?
Gosh, I must have missed that invite.
No, but I do remember in 6th grade when like the Harry Potter thing was around. People were like, oh, have you read Harry Potter yet? Have you read Harry Potter? The backlash with like Christian groups because of the wizardry and whatnot. Mikko, what else do you have for stock up?
Stock up reading. Reading's pretty cool, guys. I don't know about you. I mean, this podcast obviously is any evidence. You guys enjoy a good book. And apologies again to my mother. We love you, Ma. But
love you, Ma.
I finally came back to the old reading is cool at age 30. Skipped out on the first 30 years. But yeah, it's cool. I will buy that stock. I feel like these trends are cyclical where TV and movies took over, and maybe now those are dipping, and now books are going to make a comeback, and books are going to be cool. So I'm just saying, buy it early while paper and everything is down, and we're, going green or whatever, and get a Kindle and listen to audiobooks. buy book stock now because it's going to be the next GameStop. Colin.
Barnes and Noble, we're coming for you. Start open brick and mortars. Yeah, I'm actually going to be moving into my new house in less than 2 weeks, and I have a giant fireplace, and I'm very excited to sit in front of it in a big, comfortable leather chair and read books. It's going to be great.
I thought you were going to burn books for a second there. I didn't know where that was going.
Burn books.
Now you said that you're hooked. That took you 3 days to read Red Rising. What's the next book now?
I don't know. I'm this way with music. I love music, but I don't go out and seek new things. I'm horrible at like learning whatever the new song is and new artists, yada yada. I need somebody to tell me. So I think I will turn to the BBC. I'm going to look the BBC right in the eye and ask, what do I do? What's next for me in the YA category?
I would suggest going to buddybookclub.com and seeing what we've read. I think you would be a big fan of City of Thieves, written by Benioff. Is that who did it?
David Benioff? Yeah, I think so.
The showrunner for Game of Thrones. He wrote a pretty interesting novel there. Good quick read, too. Page turner, I think. Or at least it was an earbud turner. So my next stock up is Grip Strength. So Darrow goes through an entire body transformation, but for some reason it's his grip strength that sets him apart, even though he's had that since he was a child. Like becoming a red or being a red, being a hell diver on Lycos gave him incredible grip strength, which also in the future, if you're operating heavy machinery, I feel like it wouldn't have a lot of recoil or like, you know, you wouldn't have to be super jacked. Like, I don't remember Ben Affleck on Armageddon having these, like, giant hands, like Mason hands. But irregardless, he has incredible grip strength. And as a society, I feel like we've forgotten about the importance of grip strength. Like, remember how everyone had those grip strengtheners? Like, that was just a thing that everyone had when you were growing up?
Oh, yeah.
If you had no other weights, you had those metal with rubber grip strengtheners, right? Mm-hmm. No one has those anymore. And I think that the grip strength stock, it used to be, give someone a real strong handshake. And I think maybe because of the men becoming a little bit softer, it's like, you know, you don't have to squeeze someone else's hand, which I'm appreciative. Nothing is worse than when someone just like tries to squeeze your hand to death. It's like, cool, dude, you got good grip strength. But maybe I'm wrong. Grip strength. I think the stock's back up. Darrow proved it. I'm buying.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good one.
I lived in an apartment building with a Fijian family on the floor that I lived on. And when I tell you that this man's hands were literally ballpark Frank fingers, like the biggest hands I've ever seen. Whatever like Shaq has, but like thick, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I was imagining Darrow's hands looking like, just some thick, meaty ballpark Frank fingers.
So Fijian are people from France, right? Just for our listeners.
Yes, they border Germany, so they're their neighbors. Yeah.
Keith, what else do you have for stock up?
Plastic surgery, stock up.
Ooh.
I just picture that scene where he's getting chopped up as basically the Captain America scene where he's like this puny dude and then all of a sudden he comes out like this jacked, muscular guy just ready to go to war. That's what kind of I assumed. The one thing, though, that I did have an issue with is that they're like 1,000 years in the future, improving every single thing. Can't they just do brain surgery at this point and like make people smarter? And
they did, though. They had like brain tools they were using. I mean, it was like stuff that they were taking, and then also you do that along with like brain games to increase your knowledge thing. I think that was part of the book, right, Mikko?
It is, yeah.
I know they were doing sleeping stuff, but I mean, I was thinking the other way around is like making the Reds be subservient, doing brain surgery on them.
Oh, making people dumber. Oh, very Hitler of you.
Yeah. All right. Not the first time you've compared me to Hitler, which is
you and the Kellogg family and Hitler can all get together and, you know, do brain surgery on the other people and, enslave them. Well, it's funny you say that because I had body modification as one of my stock ups. Because, yes, the stock is already up in, 2022. We have lip fillers, we got Botox, we got calf implants, we got liposuction. I mean, we even have the lizard man. And if you don't know who that is, you just Google him. But, we're talking about the ability for full body and brain transformation that they have here. Mickey the Cutter, it's funny you said Captain America because I was thinking more about Minority Report, when they do the eye switch thing. You know, they cut the guy's eyes out and put eyes in. It's like that on steroids. Literally. I mean, they give our boy Darrow HGH and steroids to get all jacked up along with the body modification. It feels like we're almost there, but with this potential, he shits on Fitchner for like just not getting the fat sucked out of him. Like he just eats metabolizers as opposed to going to the cutter and just cutting it off because it's that easy. And I'm big into healthcare and nanobot transformation in the next 20 years or so, buy the stocks. So I'm buying these stocks. I'm already in on healthcare in my actual portfolio. So why not for body modification? I'm there. I'm with you, Keith. Let's buy.
All right, I like it.
Mikko, what else do you have for stock up?
What else do I have for stock up? Stock up. Ooh, accents. So I read this book myself. I wasn't listening to the book, which is kind of a bummer. I feel like I missed out. But anyways, I think that I found out later that the accents that I was doing were similar to kind of what was actually being done for these characters. But what I was doing was I was reading the Reds, and they were Irish. It just worked for me. I don't know why. And then the Golds, I was going aristocratic, inbreeding Brits, English people, like a Stewie Griffin off of Family Guy, that sort of vibe. So that for me made the read more enjoyable because I felt like I was portraying all these different characters as I read in my mind. I don't read aloud, just to be clear, in accent.
Yeah, of course.
But I read.
Imagine the wife while she's watching TV and you're reading aloud in accents next to her. She's like, I'm just trying to catch up on the Kardashians, and what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, Uncle Narrow, how you doing?
There we go.
Mikko, you are a natural reader. Do you know why you are? Because Pierce Brown said that he was inspired to write this book by the plight of the Irish immigrants in the 19th century and the disenfranchisement of the working class. So the Irishmen in this book are really the Reds. So you were on top of it. And who were the Irish fighting? They were fighting the fucking shitty Brits. Check out Peaky Blinders. Peaky fucking Blinders. You were on top of it. Gory damn, Mikko. Good for you.
Thank you. You know what I do? You know what my mnemonic device is to get into the Irish accent? It's season 1, Peaky Blinders. It's the cop that's after him. When he says the main guy's name, Shelby, he goes, Master Shelby. Master Shelby. And then he goes, then I go into the Irish accent from there. So it's Master Shelby. Oh, try it.
This is important insight. I mean, Brad Pitt wouldn't even give us this insight. And Brad Pitt did it in what movie was that with Harrison Ford? Oh, that was a good one. He plays like an IRA guy.
Oh, I don't know. I was thinking Snatch.
No. Oh, also a great movie. But no, he's like a gypsy in that movie. You can't understand half the things he says.
The Periwinkle Blue.
Brad Pitt's in a porno? That's weird.
No, but good movie. And also that guy in Peaky Blinders is the guy from Jurassic Park, which we also love. Mikko, did you have any other stock ups?
Stock up Red Weddings. I know that's trigger or microaggression, probably saying that phrase for some people, other book franchises. The Red Wedding is, horrible, horrible thing. But here's the thing. Darrow basically goes on this journey to join the Sons of Ares and yada yada, become a gold, go through all this shit because of Io, his wife, and the sacrifice and her martyrdom and whatever. But I looked it up. They were married for like 6 months, okay? I've been married for 8 or 9 months. I'm not doing any of that for my wife. I'm Uncle Narrow in this scenario. I'm just drinking and just trying not to get bit by whatever pit viper. That's how I'm spending the rest of my life. I'm not going on this Mickey the Carver through all this crap with all these people and dying and getting every fucking bone in my body broken for the next foreseeable future. I'm just, what happened at this Red Wedding that they're married for 6 months that he wants to go do all this for her? So stock up Red Weddings, I guess.
Shagged like a minx. No, I agree with you. There's one point in the book where he's like with Mustang or whatever, and he realizes that Io's been dead for longer than they were married. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, buddy, close the yearbook. Mustang's hot. Like, get up, like, ride that mare. What are you doing? So I'm with you. I mean, obviously, Io, rip, we miss you. We love you. But, Darrow, build me a bridge and get the fuck over it. All right, my last stock up is razor blades and food. Yeah, it was a big thing in the 90s, around Halloween. It was, don't accept, that's when I was, trick-or-treating. Don't accept anything that isn't wrapped. There could be razor blades in it. But with the internet, it turned out to be an old wives' tale, and it fell out of public consciousness, not unlike the Dark Lord Sauron's ring. But now, these industrious kids on Mars are stuffing bread loaves and apples with rusty nails and shrapnel. So I feel like razor blades and food is back. Watch out when you go to your local bakery. I'm buying razor blades and food. I'm going to tell my kids, hey, watch out.
What? Interesting purchase, but okay. It's
You're definitely getting flagged by the ATF or somebody with those purchases.
If the ATF came knocking on my door, I would be proud. I'd be like, oh, you guys are listening? Awesome. Really, thanks for downloading and subscribing, buddybookclub.com. Really appreciate it. Let's jump into stock down. Keith, what'd you have for stock down?
Draft analysis, stock down. I've been following the NFL draft for about 15 or 16 years now. I have a long history, draftanalysis.com, no big deal. But Finchner, come on, buddy. Like, you got to take some draft notes at this point. So Mars is basically the Cincinnati Bengals of old, where they were just drafting all these terrible character issue players. Yeah. And he keeps doing it year over year. Like, they're like, yeah, Mars always fizzles out in these competitions because, like, they draft, like, aggressive dudes that end up sucking at the end. So why don't you change your draft strategy, buddy? Like, what are you doing, Fitchner? And they say that the proctors get all, like, the credit if their team wins. So why would you not be drafting guys that are, like, more team chemistry guys and people that are, like, different attributes rather than all these conniving, aggressive people? It doesn't make any sense. Like, buddy, like, figure this out, right? Also, why are you drafting two siblings on the same team if you know one of them is just going to end up getting killed by one of your other, like, better people? Like, that's a terrible, terrible draft strategy. Fitchner, figure it out. Draft analysis, stock down.
Well, so with this draft, this is actually a really interesting point. I feel like we could have an entire podcast on this draft strategy because with this draft, it's almost like you pick the top 50 and then your second 50 are just dead. Like, you're just assuming those 50 are dead. And I'm going to defend Fitchner here because he somehow was able to peel his own son with the 100th pick. And Severo's he's a second round pick. He can't necessarily be a first round pick because he's not the leader. You want your Tom Brady as your first round pick. Granted, he went in the 6th. Whoop. But Severo, he gets with the last pick, who fucks up, what's the guy's name? Primicius. Priam. Yeah, he fucks up Priam like no problem. And then he's exactly what Mars is looking for, though. He's got all that aggression, but he's just a psychopath. He's just ready to go off and he's what's his name? Riggs from Murtaugh Riggs from Lethal Weapon. He's good at what he does, but the X factor is what really makes him a stud. So I think we're giving Fitchner not enough credit. Yeah, it didn't work year over year, but you know what? He pulled Darrow out and he got him. So Mercury, you fucked up. You should have taken Darrow. So yeah, I agree with you, but at the same time, they're working off incomplete information. It's not you have the McDonald's All-Americans out there. You don't really know, and people are pumping up their own kids. So,
but they have a combine beforehand. I mean, that's what that is, right? It's just a combine.
Yeah, but the combine is like a little league tryout. You really don't know. You really don't know what you're going to get. So I kind of picture it like that when all the dads are sitting around in their cargo shorts and tucked in shirts and Tevas with socks on. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're drafting. So I'm going to give Fitchner a little bit of credit. If I was picking, I'd pick the psychopaths too, because you just never know. Because at the end of the day, this is a bloody and gory and fucked up school. So you might as well get all the crazies. And if they can form together, you got something. You got a team like this year's Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, what's up, Joey? Backdoors, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, Darrow and Jackal are basically two massive psychopaths, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
No, those are normal people. What are you talking about, Mikko?
Jesus.
Yeah, so we're going to agree to disagree on there, but I like it.
I think you draft a psychopath. You draft a leader, but then you fill it with guys that are team chemistry players. So I like the Rogue pick. He's like a philosopher. He's the knowledge-based guy. I like the Severo pick. Yeah, there's a lot of good picks, but then you like also pick other people that are going to be backstabbers or challenge the leadership of the number one pick. You can't have it. It's like drafting like 3 quarterbacks in the same draft. Doesn't make any sense. You gotta spread out,
Mikko, what'd you have for stock down?
Stock down. I had education, and
I feel like we've had that before, so that's good.
really, oh, good.
Yeah.
Glad I could help. Yeah, look. We've already admitted, I've already admitted to my lacking in reading and not taking that part of school serious. Shocker, that extended out to other classes and other areas of my education growing up. And turns out, in this world, again, I should just be on Mars. I should be a red or a gold or whatever. I don't care. I just want to be in this society. Because to your point, Keith, when he was with Mickey the Carver, there was one point where he basically, Darrow, just takes a limitless pill, and overnight he, quote, absorbs 3,000 years of literature and history. That's my dream. If I don't have to go to school and you just give me a pill and I know everything, perfect. We can just cut out the 13 years I wasted doing nothing. I took French for 13 years, okay?
From the Fijis.
You took French for 13 years?
First grade, I started French. All the way through high school, I kept it going. I had Fijians living down the hall from me. I could have gone over there and cut it up with those French fucks. But I didn't. I didn't use it ever. Every year was the same shit over and over, just relearning everything. What a waste of time. I could have just taken a pill, limitless, been like Darrow, and just fucking moved on with my life. So stock down education. It's bullshit.
So do you not speak French?
Yeah, I can throw a little accent out there. I don't say croissant, I say croissant, like stuff like that. But
No, so you do speak it.
yeah, I could cut it up with the Parisians. I could get over there and get after it, but I'm not using it. I should have taken Spanish at the very least. At least then I would have some amigos and hermanos to cut it up with in this country. But where the fuck am I going?
I agree with you, though. I mean, where's the Matrix style plug into the back of the neck and just learn everything instantly? I think we should be having that by now.
Right.
So
Talk to
I
Elon.
completely agree with you.
Talk to Elon. Well, interestingly enough, one of my stock downs was getting accepted into a prestigious school, because that's like the thing when you're in high school. It's like, oh, did you know that one kid in your class is going to Yale? It's going to be the next, brain surgeon. It's like, oh, good for him. But it turns out, if you get accepted into a prestigious school, you can get murdered on your first day. Like, literally murdered. You go into school, half of the people are dead. So everyone was super excited for Julian. Oh my God, Julian got accepted into school. This is amazing. It's like his dad's sitting there being like, yeah, Julian's going to fucking die. Like, yeah, whatever. So maybe it's not that cool. Like, let's not get excited when someone goes to Brown. I mean, it's also poop. So why would you be jazzed about that? Pass. Prestigious schools. Go to a state school, save your money, become a doctor a different way. Simple.
I'm with you 100%. Also, how do all these kids go through their lives not knowing what takes place at this institute?
That really made no sense. No one knowing what the passage is or knowing what the school entails. Like, you're telling me that these gold parents who want their kids to be the best, they want their kids to be Primus, aren't like secretly telling them, okay, like, here's actually what's going on there. So, like, be prepared for this, and the other thing. And I know they said, like, Julian worked on his fighting and whatnot. And I know that whole thing was kind of a way for the Bolognas to, like, fuck over the, Andromedas family or whatever that family's name is. So I understand how it ties in. But there's just no way that these parents aren't leaking some information as to, like, what exactly is going to happen and giving some strategic tips.
Yeah, there isn't some college scandal where Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin of the Red Rising aren't, like, giving their kids yacht scholarships so they get into the institute and, like, throwing a little money around?
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly. That's a great reference. Thank you.
But I think it's also they're supposed to be like the Roman or whatever, the 300 society there.
Spartans.
Yeah, their son isn't good enough, then he deserves to die, kind of thing, right? That's like the mentality of the society.
Yeah, the Spartans were Greek, but you're close.
It's fine.
Good education.
They're all the same.
Keith, what else do you have for stock down?
Don't take that out of context, Mikko.
The Germans are loving that line.
Yeah. I had relegation, stock up or down, depending. But I actually didn't think the society was that bad. It had its faults, a few issues here or there.
Jesus Christ.
But the way we fix this is relegation. So if you want to move up in class, is you put them in this Hunger Games type thing, and they win, they move up, they lose, they die. And that's how you kind of allow people to go up and down the food chain or the class structure. I just didn't like the fact that you couldn't change class. Other than that, I think it's fine. I don't think there's a big issue. Wrong?
Other than that big fact that you are stuck in your class.
Other than
I mean,
that.
the
You can move.
Untouchables in India might have some issues with that, but
You can move. Like,
Yeah.
that's the problem. You get born in a class, you should be like, oh, I want to move up. It's like, all right, well, you're gonna have to go in this death-defying game. It's like, all right, that's the price you have to pay. You know?
Shout out to episode 1, because Keith is over here digging himself a hole, if you know what I'm saying.
oh, little BBC kickback. We like it. My stock down is Pelotons. Everyone's got one now. Stock's way up. I mean, the literal stock is way up. But instead of a Peloton, we need constant traction machines, which is what Darrow was in when he was hanging out with Mickey. It's immersive. It works the entire body. Plus, you can race against panthers. It's not like, oh, you want to take a bike ride through the Alps and like the timing's not really right and you can't look left or right. It's just like we're on a bike path. It's like, that's not very exciting. No. You can step into this constant traction machine and work your entire body as you race against a panther. That sounds phenomenal. I would do it. You're in the Jungle Book. It's you and Bagheera hanging out. Why not? I'd get exercise that way. This idea of a Peloton, oh, you have an iPad in front of you that, you know, there's someone on it saying, oh, you're doing great. Look at Keith. He's moving up in the pack. Like, no, that's boring. I want to be in the jungle. I want to be running with wild animals, and that's how I'd prefer to get my exercise. So Pelotons, you're out. Constant traction machines, you're in.
When I was like 8, I used to go to a gym with my dad, and I would go on the rowers, and they had a thing where you would basically race another rower, and that was, I hated rowing, but I was like, oh, I have to do this all because it's the best thing ever. So if you make that more immersive, yeah, of course I'm into that.
Yeah, it's like you're the what's that, the coxman?
Coxswain.
The coxswain? You're the coxswain. That's the kind of exercise I want. I don't, someone else that's on the rowing machine, and I just sit in front of them, and
Just
I go,
yell.
row, row, row.
Speaking of gyms, going to gyms as a kid, a lot of balls, right? The men's locker rooms. Saw a lot of balls.
I mean, only now did we know about pedophiles. I feel like that wasn't discussed when we were kids. But there's no way those guys just hanging out in the locker room, and I really do mean hanging out, weren't like doing that on purpose. It was disgusting and boorish and uncouth, and I don't support it.
When we were on the swim team, I was like 10. We had a locker room monitor that was a dude that was like 50 with a beard and just would watch us change. And I remember even at that age, I was like, what is up with this fucking dude? This is really fucking weird. Nowadays, can you imagine being like, yeah, we just need someone that goes in there and just watches these kids change to make sure they're not like goofing around. It's like, wait, what?
That is
What
wild.
the fuck are you talking about?
All right, well, tell us about the second time you were touched.
Jesus.
Well, he looked like Santa, so I mean, like, it was all fine. He told me how to get presents for it.
Good God.
Oh, yeah. Now they would do that. Like, remember when the FBI gave away free tickets or whatever to the Washington Redskins games, and it was just to, like, collect people that had outstanding warrants? That would be the thing now. Would be like, oh, we have an job opening on LinkedIn for a locker room attendant. They show up there, and it's like, all right, yeah, cool. Get in the van, you fucking pedophile.
Yeah. Speaking of Minority Report, that's like pre-con. Like, these guys, put them all in jail.
Yeah,
throw away the
precogs
key.
right there. Mikko, you did have another stock down, though, correct?
Yeah, I did have a serious one, if I can bring it back to a more serious note. Stock down asparagus. So I love asparagus. I love eating it. Throw it on the grill, throw it on a sheet, and throw it in the oven or whatever, 425, Dylan, you know?
Mm-hmm. I do.
But like the first 10 pages of this book, they scarred me because the only downside to asparagus is the smell after you eat asparagus. And I'm talking about urine. Piss. Pierce Brown. I mean, he's a good-looking dude, but what is going on?
Well established at this point.
He's got some kind of hidden fetish here that is not so hidden. Because in those first, 10 or more pages, the way that he weaves this golden tapestry of smells is just like I'm going to puke thinking about the piss-sweat combination in Darrow and them suits. Oh, it's just, I think he says at one point, they're like basically astronauts or whatever, right? In that sort of a getup. And you can't wipe.
The fry suits.
Yeah, thank you. You can't wipe the sweat from your brow. And the first couple times you try to do it before you learn that obviously you can't like get in the suit or whatever. it just like stinging in your eyes. Like, that, when you put sunscreen on your forehead and then you're sweating because it's hot and it like gets in your eyes. I don't know. It really bothered me and really kind of ruined asparagus for me. So stock down on asparagus.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although the asparagus pea, having your pea smell is actually a gene thing. So like some people it doesn't smell.
Fuck.
And also, more interestingly, is you being able to smell asparagus piss is a separate gene thing. So you could think that, oh, when I eat asparagus, my pee doesn't smell, but it might smell, but you don't have the other gene moniker which allows you to smell that. So it's a kind of a weird catch-22 thing. You really have to have a bunch of people in a bathroom and everyone hangs out and, smells each other's piss, and then someone will let you know.
Sounds like my Friday night,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Typical Friday night. But yes, he did paint a very beautiful picture of the smells of the underworld of Mars, and I appreciated that, Pierce. So thank you.
So real quick on the genes, though,
really
if I have those genes, I'm a higher form of life, or like where do I fall?
You'd be a pink, I still think.
Pink.
You know how they got rats to be able to like sniff out mines and like diabetes and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
You're basically one of them.
Ooh, one of those African rats.
But you might have a side gig where you can just, if you can smell the asparagus pee, if people don't know, they could just hire you to come in and smell their pee. So
awesome. So
they're
I could have my dream job of just working in a bathroom.
A boys' locker room.
You get paid to do it. Nice.
You could work in a little boys' locker room at a pool.
Perfect.
It'd be great.
Could stop doing it for free.
Keith, did you have any other? Oh, good God, Keith, did you have any other stock downs?
Nah, that's it.
All right, Mikko. I don't know what your plan is, but you're more than welcome to hang around if you want, and we can go through the rest of this. Or if you got stuff to do, feel free to log off.
Cool. I might hang around for a little bit and just listen in, just creepily.
Okay, great.
Like the guy in Keith's locker room growing up. I'll just be in the corner.
Oh, fucking hell. Keith, let's get into pick your character. Who is your favorite character from this novel? That is Red Rising.
Yeah, I mean, I think the obvious one is Severo.
Duh.
He's the best. I don't see myself as him, but I also see myself as him. I want to be him. I would never be him because I'm not that type of person. I'm too much of a pussy. But I was like, that's the guy. The guy that's just like the loyal, I'm going to go off and get things done. Just like the scavenger. I loved him. I liked Pax too. There's a lot of people I liked in this book, but I think Severo is the number one for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's like Yuriko from Princess Mononoke. I don't know if you've ever seen that wonderful film, but
bless you? Or was that Fijian you just speaking there?
No, she's a girl in Princess Mononoke. She was raised by wolves. She wears a wolf pelt. She's always covered in blood. She's phenomenal. But his loyalty is endearing. He's willing to do all the dirty jobs a la Mike Rowe. He pulls an Andy Dufresne and climbs through a shit tunnel to get Darrow Castle. He also pulls a Luke Skywalker and spends a night inside a dead animal. I mean, plus, once he loses an eye, he must look so badass. Like just this one-eyed, eye-patched, wolfskin-covered boy just in mud and shit and just ready to do whatever it takes. Like, that's the last guy I want to fight. I would rather fight Cassius. I'd rather fight Pax. I'd rather fight anybody than Severo because he's just got the crazy eyes.
Oh, yeah. It reminds me of, like, that quote that's like, I always used to think I wanted to be boxed until I met someone that, like, actually wanted to box. Like, that's him. Like, the guy that's like, oh, no, I live for this. I'll I'll die for this game. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
What I was upset about, too, is that, and this is probably going to be more than I hates, but when he, at the end of the book, signs on with the arch governor or whatever, I feel like that would only be contingent on my boys riding with me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, these guys are all in
Agreed.
the team. Like, I'm not leaving them,
That was also something for me where he just kind of like left Severo in the dust there, like didn't address it or something. And really it should be like, hey, as long as I can have Severo at my side, I know that no one's going to be able to sneak up on me. But also my other favorite character was Paxo Talamanos.
Yeah.
Which Mikko didn't didn't listen to the audiobook, but the guy did a phenomenal job doing his Paxo Talamanos. And Pax is from New Zealand, so he's just a big rowdy rugby bro. That's what I pictured him as.
I pictured him as, and not to burn one of my characters later, but Gronk. I just thought he was Gronk the whole time. He's like this big, happy, but like an absolute beast of a dude. It's like about partying and killing people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he cries when he has to whip Darrow, which is just like so cute. It's like one of those big Rottweilers that is actually just like super cuddly. And I was actually just super pissed when he died. We've already touched on that. But it turns out Pierce Brown was too. He just pulled, when he was writing the book, he just pulled all the characters' names. He put all the characters' names in a hat and pulled one out besides Darrow and Mustang. He left those to the side. And he pulled out Pax. And supposedly he had this big story arc where Darrow was going to join the Telemanuses and fight the Arch-Governor's people. But he was like, you know what? Like, I got to do it. I pulled it out. He was like, I could put it back in and just pull another name. But he was like, no, I got to do it. And so that's how he decided to kill Pax. But
Damn.
yeah.
He's such a good writer to be able to do that and then be like, all right, I guess I'll just do a whole
change
nother
my
story
whole
arc.
story arc. Okay, let's jump into some love-hate. We're running long, so we'll try to like kind of blow through these, but at the same time, I don't really want to because this book was so good. We should have chopped this into like 4 different podcasts. It was such a good book. So love-hate, or as I'd like to call it for this pod, Prime Slag. You know, what was Prime? What was Slag? Let's get into Prime first.
I like
what
that.
do you got
Nicely
for
done.
Prime?
Prime for me, how the world expands and things just get bigger and bigger. And when I first read this book, I didn't read any of the descriptions, didn't read anything, and I thought it was about an uprise in a drilling community. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then it becomes a huge, huge Star Wars type world with politics, everything. I was just amazed at the imagination of the world and society, the politics of everything, the language. Everything is amazing to be in this. I also think that he could have just done the typical trope of fish out of water. That, you know, hey, I'm in this new gold society. I don't know what's going on. And I have to just constantly protect and be in fear that I'm going to trip up and give away that I'm not really a gold. That could have been done, and that could have been the YA book, right?
Yeah.
And that's been done 1,000 times. But instead, the book is about war, leadership, anger, and love. Like, that's what it's really about, which is amazing. That's just a side part of it. It just becomes this whole otother thing. So I love that.
Yeah, one of the things I love was the conquest itself, and they really just briefly talk about it. And I love lore. I'm all with all these stuff and, you know, Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and all these kind of fantasy books. Granted, this is more sci-fi. I mean, we talk about Dune, whatever, but I love the lore that is kind of talked about, but you don't never see it. And that's why Star Wars was so good until they decided to dive into the lore and they just fucked it all up. But the conquest, I see it like the opening of Lord of the Rings when Cate Blanchett's narrating, but it's basically iron golds from Luna battling against the Earthlings to create the society that we know today. And it could be just like Lord of the Rings, the beginning there, where it's just kind of like smash cut, but just that little, even though it was probably only a couple pages, it was just like, oh, okay, I get how this society came to be. And he did it so concisely, so well done. And I like saw it in my mind, and just like people battling in grav boots and stuff like that. It seemed really fucking cool. So even though it was a little bit into the book, it really kind of set the idea for the society. So I really like the conquest. What else do you have?
The villains were awesome. From the Jackal to Titus to the Proctors to Arch-Governors. There wasn't just like one enemy or one bad guy. Everyone kind of had a shade of bad guyness to them. Really, really appreciated that. Also like the twist with the sister being the sister of the Jackal. I didn't realize that in the first one. I was like, oh shit. But he lays the groundwork like throughout the book. It was very obvious when I reread it. I was like, oh
Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Like, it was so obvious. Yeah, and then just overall, turning things around in the Proctors, I really appreciated that. And just it felt like a real war. The hunger, the fear, the pain, the smell, which Mikko talked about earlier. Like, he describes the smell of war a lot.
Well, to tie into yours, the Titus Red reveal when he says bloody damn, and kind of like what you were alluding to in terms of a reread, this book is a great reread. There's so much there that you didn't realize upon the first time reading, not only Titus, but like Jackal and the Mustang being siblings, Severo being Fitchner's kid. It's so well done that when I read it the first time, it was like, oh, these are great reveals. But then when I read it the second time, I was like, oh my God, like it's all right here, you know? And it wasn't, the reveals aren't made in this book to be like some of the other thrillers we've read.
It doesn't depend on it.
Exactly. It's not like the story isn't based around these reveals. The story is separate, but then includes these fun reveals throughout. And he just does it in such a good way that Pierce Brown, stock up. Love you. Good job. I'm going to go for another one because you went through like 10. But my other love is the passage itself. Because up until that point, this is a YA book. You know, obviously there's a hanging, but besides that, it's like, okay, this is YA. And then the passage comes around, you're like, oh, it's like Harry Potter and the Sorting Hat. Like, he's going to find out what house he's in. But then he's brutally murdering Julian, and there's eyes getting popped out of their heads, and you're like, holy shit, this is not Harry Potter. Fucking Harry would be curled up in a ball crying if this ever happened to him, even though he's all about courage in Gryffindor. Like, no, this is some fucked up Slytherin shit. So the passage was up there for my love because it definitely set the scene for how this school's going to work, that by the time Titus starts raping people, you're like, yeah, I know, duh. Like, of course he's going to do that.
Yeah, I had that in my favorite scene. The 1v1 death match is when he really flips the script. You're like, oh shit, wait, what? Oh,
yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be like, oh, this school is all for like wusses, you know, they're all golds, but it's like, no. We're doing hand-to-hand combat. You're naked, and you're not walking out of this room unless someone died. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, if you read Hunger Games before this, and you're like, wow, someone got shot with an arrow. That's fucked up. And then you read this, and it's like some crazy shit smashing someone's head against a wall until it pops. It's like, all right. I'm in a different realm here. What else do you have for love?
The song at the end, that bangs.
Yeah. Oh, in the audiobook? Yeah, don't turn the audiobook off until after the song, because
you get a little drop on that song. That's
if we
the
had
number one
nap
banger.
time do that, it would be phenomenal. But you know, the song's in the book. At one point, he sings it to Mustang in full.
Which I fast forward because he's kind of like, I'm like, all right, buddy, let's go.
It was a little bit much. I agree. But then at the end, I was like, oh, like, this is the title track for the TV series. Like, this is fucking awesome. So, yeah, if you listen to the audiobook, definitely don't skip the end. And if you didn't listen to the audiobook, I'd say download it and just listen to the song at the end.
I wonder if they have that song on iTunes somewhere. It must be, right?
It's got to be somewhere. I loved about this book how the romance isn't overplayed. And I know we're kind of shitting on the Hunger Games here, but I liked the Hunger Games, or at least the first book. But this is no Hunger Games. That was one of the things that bothered me about it, was just like, oh, PETA, oh, Katniss. The romance it builds into a nice place, and it's not really a storyline. It's just like, you know these people have feelings for each other. You can tell that through their actions, through what's going on. There's no reason to have this weird teen angst first pube longing. I don't need that when I'm reading this book. So I appreciate how he didn't overplay it. He let it kind of figure itself out throughout the book. So Pierce, once again, thank you.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay, let's jump into hate. What'd you hate?
Yeah, so I said I basically like every character in this book. The one I did not like is Cassius. Cassius is a huge bitch. Hated him. He's just a bitch. He's like, he whines about his brother. Darrow didn't kill your brother. The game did. That's what happened. You don't blame someone that didn't actually. He had to do what he had to do. That's
so.
Just
Are
what
you
it is.
saying don't hate the player, hate the game?
You're absolutely goddamn right. Yeah. So I mean, that really just annoyed me. And then when he comes to him and he's like ready to apologize, even though you just stabbed this dude. You know how did the 1-on-1 matchup.
Yeah.
He gets stabbed, and then Darrow's there about to apologize. Darrow should go there and cut his head off, but instead he's like, you know what? I killed his brother. I understand his like anger, and then he's like, all right, there's a blood feud after that. Why? What? No, Darrow should be mad at you, not the other way around. That's bullshit. So fuck Cassius.
Fuck you, Cassius.
Yeah. Good name though. Cassius is a good name.
Yeah. Cass, decent nickname. One of the things I hated, and actually really the only thing I hated, was the book itself. I found it hard to visualize. And that's the problem with books in general, as opposed to other media functions, is you can't really see what's happening, so you have to do it in your own mind, which is good and bad. Usually it's good because, Lord of the Rings, it's like, okay, there's horses. I know what a horse looks like, and there's horses in this too. But like, okay, there's a goblin, there's a troll, like I can figure that out. But in this book, they got all this technology, grav boots, force fields, punch fists, and that's not even to mention what these gory damn highborns look like. And then the setting itself. I was just picturing people when in my head, like when they were fighting or whatnot, or when they're talking, like I didn't picture them as these giant golden haired, tanned, golden eyed people. I just pictured them as people.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's hard to really visualize exactly what the people and the setting look like, and that's why I think this would be such a good video product, where you'd be able to say like, oh shit, okay, now I see it. And if I reread this book afterwards, even if the book is better, you'd still be able to take some of those pictures and put them to paper.
That wasn't a big issue for me, but I can see that. And that's a video, format would be amazing.
What else did you hate?
I didn't care for Darrow getting tricked twice by the whole waking up in the middle of the night and, hey, come outside the castle quick by yourself. There's something needs to get saved. I can understand it the first time with Antonio or whatever doing that. The second time, the exact same thing happens with Cassius. Cassius is like, come outside. I need you right away. And he does the same exact thing and then gets into that duel with him. So I was like, bro, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Like, come on, kid. Like, you're supposed to be smart.
No. The line is, fool me twice, never going to fool me again.
George
W. Bush.
Yeah. Good J. Cole song.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Darrow's too smart for that. So, the only thing is like, oh, he trusted Cassius, so maybe that's what we're supposed to believe. But the only other thing I hated from this book, and once again, these are such light hates, but
yeah,
the Jackal climax. We talked about this a little bit. The buildup was so big that then the whole thing with the Jackal happened, which was great when he killed Pax and cut his own arm off. Like, that stuff was great. But then it's like, that's it. He goes to see Mustang and she's like, no, I was actually truthful to you. Like, here's the Jackal standard and here's the Jackal. Like, I got him. He's my brother. Yeah, I got him. And it's like, oh, okay. The game's over. You won. I was just like, oh, I thought there was going to be like some sort of crazy duel or something like that where he would have had to use his sling blade in some way. And I know that the first one was fun, but I just thought because the whole thing, he was like, I should have never let this guy go. Like, I can't believe he cut his own arm off. This was a big mistake. And then you realize, oh, Mustang's got some sort of relation to him. And then Fishner's like, it's his sister. And you just gave half your army to him. And then she shows up and she's like, no, I was on your side the whole time. No problem. So I was like, ah.
Yeah, I can see that. I actually kind of liked it because it kind of bucked the trend of, I'm more of a fan of books or movies that have the immediate either death or like just no big climax where all of a sudden it's like, all right, we're gonna fight to the duel, and then it's this long battle. It's like no, just make it something quick, make it something like you're not seeing coming. So I didn't have a big issue with that, but I could definitely see how it was like a build up to like kind of a fizzle. So I can.
So you're saying you hated "Death of the Fates" or whatever that song is in Phantom Menace, like the only good part of that movie. When Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fight Darth Maul.
Oh. Well,
Duel of the Fates.
The only redeeming quality of that, the first Star Wars or the prequel there. You could have just done a 90-minute movie of Darth Maul fighting people up. I'm like, yeah, all right, that's fine.
Let's cast the movie. The rights for this movie, as in Red Rising, was sold to Universal Pictures in 2014, but the project was scrapped. Thank God our boy Pierce Brown started developing Red Rising as a TV series in 2018 and supposedly has secured a director and a showrunner. This is as of September 2021, so exciting stuff ahead. I think this is way better as a TV series than it would be a movie, which we kind of discussed earlier. If they're not casting, then they're about to be. So who do you got?
Yeah, for Darrow, I had Lucas Hedges.
Ooh, I don't know who that is.
He's in a few movies. He looks kind of young, I think, still. He has some crazy eyes. So that's the problem is you need to have actors that are like a little bit crazy for all these parts. I've seen him in like Manchester by the Sea. In Honey Boy, he's only in it for a little bit, but he's like a crazy person. So
okay.
That's what I was thinking of. What about you?
I had, and I think you kind of need a big name for this if you're going to do a 3-part series. And so I had Tom Holland, and like maybe this isn't perfect, but I think he fits the age range and he can play younger. And he also plays the part of being like a hard-nosed but like scrawny person. So the transformation thing would be pretty good for him. So he's beautiful. I'm taking Tom Holland. I think he can pull it off.
For Severo, I had Thomas Brody Sangster. He's in Game of Thrones, but he's also like kind of plays a crazy dude in other things too.
Oh, really? When you said Game of Thrones, I thought you were talking about the guy who like cuts people's skin off, but you're talking about the...
Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah, wow. I'm going to change my answer. That's the right answer. Okay. I apologize. Yep, yeah. You're right, and I'm wrong. That's 100% what it should be.
For Severo, I went, talking about Honey Boy, I went Shia LaBeouf. I feel like he'd be a good Severo, you know?
Yeah.
Mangy, but like ready to fuck shit up.
I mean, if they made this with 30-year-olds, it'd be much easier to cast, you know?
Yeah,
I just don't know enough.
They can. They can do
Yeah,
that.
really they can do that. You're right. Good point.
Who else did you have?
For PAX, having Gronk as the acting debut.
No, please no.
Yes. All he has to say is one line. He's like Hodor.
Yeah. Based on his like Navy credit union or whatever, I'm out. I'm out
That's a
on
good
his
point.
acting.
I didn't cast very well this one.
Yeah.
I think this is on you here.
So I didn't have Pack, so I'm glad you filled it in with Gronk. But Fitchner, I had either Gerald Butler.
Oh,
And
nice.
I'm talking like Den of Thieves Gerald Butler, where he's fat and drinks a lot and smokes a lot. Just, overdone. Not 300 Gerald Butler.
Yeah.
I'd also accept Ron Perlman, who played Hellboy and was in like I think Sons of Anarchy, right? I think he'd be really good as Fitchner as well. And then for Mustang, I had Anya Taylor-Joy, the girl from Queen's Gambit,
Yeah.
who is beautiful but also has this regal but cunning vibe to her. I think she'd be really good there.
She looks like a gold, really.
Yeah,
She looks
exactly.
like.
She already looks like a gold, so you can save some money in post-production that you don't have to like do too much. And then Octavia Alun, who's the sovereign of the society. She's not really in this one, and she's a little bit in the second one. I don't know about the third. Actually, I'm not going to give any spoilers. But I want Cate Blanchett for her, not only because Cate Blanchett is beautiful and regal and could totally just dominate that part, but I do want Octavia Alun, aka Cate Blanchett, doing the voiceover of the Conquest, which is really just what I want from Lord of the Rings. And that was all I had for Cast the Movie. But I mean, hey, we really have a full cast here. So.
Oh, for the cutter, I had Jared Leto. They like described him as Jared Leto.
Wow. Yes. That's so
That's the only
perfect.
good casting I think. I actually felt good about
and I
it.
want Jared Leto from Dallas Buyers Club. Like, not HIV positive, but like skinny and sickly. We did it. It's pretty clear from this whether we would recommend this book. I mean, just the length itself. If we were going to shit on a book for this long, I would hope someone would stop listening to us because we don't want to bring that sort of negativity into our life. But Keith, would you recommend this book?
You know when you read a book and you think it's amazing, and then you're like nervous to read it again because you're like, maybe I was just in a good mood, or maybe I was nervous for this book. Reread it. I loved it. It rivals Harry Potter for me. That's how good I thought it was. It vaulted as my number one of all the books we've read. I think it's my number one so far.
I mean, I agree with you. It's my number one as well.
Wow.
Like we said
Okay.
before, it's Hunger Games meets Braveheart meets Harry Potter. I mean, What else do you need? In terms of the world building, the storyline, the characters, it not getting too full of itself, no preachiness to it. Like, it keeps the themes understated. It's like, hey, enjoy the ride, and if you take anything out of it, then good for you. And I don't take anything out of anything because I'm a dullard, but I really just enjoyed the ride. And
Keeps you guessing at all times.
it really
which
does.
What's all you can ask for, really.
The fact that it's a 3-part series, I've read the second one. It's not as good as the first one, but it definitely, after reading this again, I'm like, okay, I'm reading the second one again. It's just guaranteed. So I loved it. Vaults up to the top of our list, which is exciting for the buddybookclub.com. We're going to get some fresh names there in our top 5. And maybe we might have more because next week or next 2 weeks, we're going to be reading another book, which is, oh no. Are we diving back in? Are we giving it another shot?
Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. We've already read one Andy Weir book. Wasn't his best, but
Artemis.
this one has.
Yeah, that book was
Yeah,
trash.
Artemis. This one has a 4.5 out of 5 on Goodreads, which is, I don't think I've ever seen a book this many reviews that high. So by comparison, Red Rising is a 4.2. And I think that's pretty well received. I'm expecting big things. We're hoping for big things. And we may or may not have a guest next week. We'll see.
Until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks for checking us out, and bye now.
Bye now.